Hey, what's up triathletes? Taren here. Gonna start off this video with an outright fangirl alert. This is the On Running Cloud, and I've got no hesitation to say that I think that it is the best all-around running shoe of 2016. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna be that bold in this video. So I've wanted to try one of On Running shoes for about 3 years now. So I contacted On. They recommended either going with this, their Cloud model, or the Cloud Racer, because those are the two shoe models that On Running makes for the more serious runners and triathletes out there. I went with the Cloud because I wanted to test out an all-around running shoe that would be good for road, speed work, track, trails, off-road, recovery runs. I wanted to see if the Cloud could handle everything. I've got a total of about 50 miles in these shoes, and they rocked it. On Running pegs the Cloud as the world's lightest fully cushioned shoe, as opposed to the more heavy bulky shoes that come in at say 10 ounces plus. The On Running Cloud is only 7 ounces. As opposed to the more built up heel heavy shoes, the heel to toe offset on the Cloud is only 6 millimeters from back to front. That 6 millimeters could be lower to satisfy the more minimal barefoot runners, but you know what? I fancy myself a minimal kind of zero drop sort of guy. And I didn't notice until I started looking at the specs of this shoe today that it was 6 millimeters. So it's a very good shoe if you're coming from a zero drop shoe background. And at 140 bucks, it's in the mid-range of price out there. As far as looks go, I think that On really knocked it out of the park, spicing it up with both the men's and the women's models. There's some really cool combo colors out there. So if you like loud shoes and something that'll turn a few heads out there on your runs, the Cloud will do that. On Running's secret sauce is this pod technology that goes along the bottom. The idea behind it is that these pods compress whether you land on your heel or your forefoot, because it goes the entire distance of the shoe, and it returns that energy as you start moving forward in your running stride. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was skeptical of that technology because it does seem a little bit gimmicky to me. As I started trying them, I was actually really surprised that the feel isn't really that different than any other running shoe out there. It's not really unique at all. What these shoes gave was a really stable, slightly responsive but not bouncy, slightly cushioned but not squishy, soft and comfortable without being constrictive, very grippy on the pavement, highly enjoyable ride. The best shoe in my opinion is one that you don't notice or think about, and that was the case with every single test that I put this shoe through. Coming out of the box, they're basically broken in the second that you put them on. They do end up coming with a set of elastic laces installed right out of the box, so that's a nice bonus, but I found that the elastic laces left the shoe a little bit flimsy and not tight enough. So I ripped them out right away and put these standard laces in. First thing you'll notice when you put the standard laces in is that they are a bitch to get into these bottom loops. I wasn't a big fan of that. The laces are really, really long and they're very thin, so I found that you had to tighten them a lot, but because you've got that extra room, you've got two choices. You can give them a really good yank and make that knot very tight, or you can give it a double knot and you've got more than enough room to do that. Now here's where we get into everything that I loved about this shoe as I went through testing it. Track running was really enjoyable with the shoes. Now granted, they're not a really aggressive racing flat, so you're not gonna get that kind of feel, but I did about 3 or 4 200-meter repeats at a very fast effort before I even remembered that I was trying out these cushion shoes. I had no problem getting up to high speeds, and these did really well at the track. They had a lot of grip and just enough responsiveness combined with just the right amount of cushion to be good for a track workout. As far as barefoot runs go in a triathlon, I don't know if I would use this for anything longer than a 5 or 10K, say sprint or Olympic distance triathlon, because I did have a little bit of a hot spot and developed a slight blister on the inside of my big toe. And the shoes breathe a little bit, but they're not extremely light and airy, so your feet do sweat. The inside of the shoe is really, really smooth. There's nothing rough on the inside, so if you wanted to try these out barefoot, you're not gonna be upset that you did, but it is going to take a little bit of getting used to, toughening up your feet. As far as trail running goes, I probably wouldn't use these for really technical trails. They did more than fine on things like gravel, packed dirt, grass trails. It had more than enough cushioning and enough responsiveness that it didn't beat up your body going over that rough terrain. But it's not a big burly shoe, and the traction isn't that great if you're going over some really difficult terrain. And for those bread and butter road runs, tempo runs, recovery runs on pavement, this has been the most favorite shoe that I've tried probably in the last year and a half. I had no problem getting up to higher speeds for those tempo runs, but then it also didn't feel really weird as I ratcheted down and started using these for recovery runs. All the fangirling aside though, the On Running Clouds aren't a flawless shoe. There's a few bones that I have to pick with it. The first issue that I had was running over gravel. Because of this space going down the middle of the treads, gravel got in the middle of the shoes and it lodged on the inside as I went over gravel trails. It pissed me off. The second issue that I've got with the Clouds is with the traction. Overall, the traction was really good. I had a lot of good grip on whatever surface I was running on until I ran over cement that was covered in water. I don't know why that happened just that one time, but it was slippery. The third thing that bugged me is more of just an annoyance, but occasionally, depending on how your foot strikes or what type of surface you're running on, the pods actually have this weird sound, like a thup, 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 when you land on the ground. And it's nothing to do with the performance of the shoe, just kind of annoying. And the last thing that you could complain about is the $140 price tag. That's certainly creeping into the higher priced running shoes out there. That said, I'm probably not gonna knock on their price point. You could probably get away with just this shoe to take care of your trail running, your road running, your track running, and that'll bring down your overall shoe budget a little bit. And then the second reason that I'm not gonna whine about the $140 price tag is that it seems like even after 50 miles, while these are a little bit beat up, I've put them through the ringer and they're still very responsive. So if this ends up being a 200-300 mile kind of shoe, that's a pretty decent bang for your buck. All in all, I'm not BSing you one bit when I say that the On Running Clouds are some of the most favorite running shoes for just pure runners or triathletes that I've ever tried. I find that with most running shoes, you basically got to pick a shoe for each different type of discipline. One for track, one for trails, one for road, because they're all built basically to be good at one thing. That's not the case with the On Running Cloud. And that's why I say that this might be the best all-around running shoe out there right now. So that is it for the On Running Clouds. Thank you to On Running for sending these out and letting me give them a try. As always, happy and hard training out there. Good luck in your triathlons. Kill it.